Welcome back. So now we're going to start the order of operations part of the packet. You're going to want to have out your packet that says 1.9 at the top. And you're also going to want to have out the page that says the keywords and phrases for math operations. You're also going to need some paper that, just probably some blank paper, because these problems, some of them have quite a few steps. It's going to be really hard to write all the steps in those very small spaces on that printed paper. So you definitely want to have a little bit of paper out as well. We're going to look at the order of operations, sort of the steps here, and then we're going to work about 10 problems that are selected from the assignment that you have, and hopefully that'll be enough to get you going on things. Okay, so I'm going to close this and make this big so you can see that a little better. Okay, this is on that sheet, the keywords and phrases for math operations. Look about bottom half of the page here, it says order of operations. And the same order is also in your packet that says 1.9. Okay, when we look at order of operations, it's basically just telling us the order in which we need to simplify math expressions. So the first thing we do is perform all operations that have parentheses. Parentheses are the rounded. Brackets are squared. And sometimes we have other types of grouping symbols, like they can have sort of squiggly lines instead of squares or rounded. Other things like fraction bars or square roots are also included in step 1. And then we always work from the inside out, so with the innermost set outward. Then we're going to evaluate any expressions with exponents. Then we multiply and divide. Now here's the thing though, multiplication and division are really considered to be on the same level. So it's not multiplication before division, it's left to right in the problem. Same with the last step, addition and subtraction. Addition is not before subtraction, it's how it's written in the problem. So left to right. Now a lot of you may have learned this with a memory device that was please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or something similar. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Looking at the first letter of everything there. So the P would stand for parentheses, E for exponent, multiplication, division. And notice though how I wrote that. My dear, multiply, divide, they're on the same line. Okay, multiplication again is not higher than division. Addition, subtraction, same line. Okay, so that's one way to remember it. PEMDAS. People have that as well. Okay. So let's just practice some of these. If you want to turn and look at that packet, you are supposed to start with number 15 and go through 102, which a lot of those are very, very short, so it may not be as much as it seems like, but some of them do get pretty lengthy. Okay, we're going to start with number 42. Clean sheet of paper. 42. So number 42 says 5 times 3 to the second. 5 times 3 to the second. Go down through your list. We don't have any parentheses in this problem, so we don't have to worry about that. We do have exponents that we need to work out, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to leave the 5 just like it is, and 3 to the second power is 3 times 3, so that's 9. And now the multiplication, 45. Okay, so there is an order here. We don't do 5 times 3 is 15, and then square that. That would be a different number. So the order does matter. Okay, let's jump to 56. In 56, we see 100 divided by 10 times 5 plus 4. 100 divided by 10 times 5 plus 4. Okay, here's a situation where we do not have parentheses anywhere. We do not have exponents anywhere. So now we're on step 3, multiplication and division. But remember, it is left to right. We don't multiply first and then do this division. Okay, so we're going to go left to right. That means we need to do this division first. 100 divided by 10 is 10. And then I'm just bringing everything else down. Times 5 plus 4. Now, I have multiplication or addition. Well, multiplication comes before addition, so that would be 50 plus 4 is 54. Okay. Had we done it with multiplication first instead of left to right, we would have gotten a different answer. So think about that. We would have gotten, I'll just put that in a different color out here. If we'd done the multiplication first, we would have had 100 divided by 10 times 5 is 50 plus 4. And 100 divided by 50 is 2 plus 4, 6. So we get a completely different answer. Okay, so order does make a difference. So we don't want to do that. Let's jump down to number 60. Number 60. I'm going to work the ones that I've chosen are even here. You're going to have odd problems that are very, very similar to these. And you have the odd answers on your packet, just the final answers. But I'm also going to have a sheet that will have all the problems worked out. So if you want to see those, you would have access to that. And then, of course, you can certainly ask about any of those, and I'll try to get that worked out for Thursday. Okay, this one, the only reason to look at this one is just because it's sort of this fractional notation, just to recall that that really is division. Okay, so this is the same as 32 plus 8 divided by 2. Okay, in case you're not familiar with that, it's the same thing. Okay, but so don't worry about this notation with the fraction. We're still going to do that first. It's division. So 32 plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. 32 plus 4 is 36. Okay. Number 64. Let's look at that one next. Now that one looks a little different because it has the whole problem is a big fraction. And so I'm just going to give you my recommendation on how I tend to do these. That's completely up to you. There's more than one way to do things. You'll notice that as I work the problems, generally I'm going to tend to work vertically, tend to work down the page. Okay, that keeps everything organized. However, for this type of problem, to simplify a fraction, you can certainly work down the page, no problem. But some people like to work across with the fractions because it seems to visually help keep that numerator separate from the denominator. So that's your choice. You can work down or across, but in a fraction it will kind of keep it separated. And you want to think of this fraction almost as two completely different problems. Okay, work out the top, get a number, work out the bottom, get a number. Then we'll reduce that fraction by division. So let's just look at the numerator right now. We have addition and division. Well, division comes first. So this is going to be 6 plus, I do 9 divided by 3 first. So that's 6 plus 3. And I'm just going to finish that out over here. 6 plus 3 is 9. You don't have to put those arrows. That's just, they're not really, we don't want to include equal signs because there's no equal sign in the original problem. We're not solving the equation. We're just simplifying things. On the bottom, I have 3 squared which is 9. Now, this leaves me 9 divided by 9, so my answer is 1. Okay. All right, 68 was next. Let's look at that one. 68. Now you'll notice that this one is got a lot of exponents. 5 cubed, okay, so that means to the third power, 5 cubed, divided by, in parentheses, 10 plus 15, close parentheses, plus 9 squared, plus 3 cubed. So 5 cubed divided by 10 plus 15 in parentheses, plus 9 squared, plus 3 cubed. Now in this one we do have parentheses. Let's go through and resolve that first. You certainly can go ahead and work out the exponents in the same step if you want to, because it's not really running together, but I'm just going to do one thing at a time. So 10 plus 15 is going to make this 25 here, plus 9 squared, plus 3 cubed. Okay, now before we do any division or addition, let's work out our exponents. 5 cubed, okay, that is not 5 times 3. Remember, that is 5 times 5 times 5. We write out the base 3 times. Over here, 9 squared. We write out the base 2 times. Over here, 3 cubed. We write out the base 3 times. The exponent tells me how many times to write the base. Okay, so 5 cubed is 5 times 5, which is 25, times 5 is 125, divided by, I don't really need these parentheses anymore. I mean, they're okay to keep them. You know, if you have them, that's okay, but you don't really need them. 9 times 9 is 81. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So that's what we get when we work out all the exponents. And then now we're down to division and addition. Well, division comes first. 125 divided by 25 is 5, plus 81, plus 27. Now the order says we do these left to right, but if it's all addition or all, I mean, you can group them however is easiest for you to add them, but left to right is what I'm going to do here. This is going to be 86 plus 27 is 113. So we've simplified this expression to 113. You can see why you might need a little more paper than just the inch or so that's provided on the worksheet there. Okay, let's jump to number 80 and look at some more that have parentheses. Jump into number 80. Go ahead and jot that one down. I'm going to put that next to this in case somebody still needs to see number 68. I'm just going to kind of make a spot over here for number 80. Okay, that has a bracket. 40 minus parentheses 8 minus 2, close parentheses, close bracket, minus 2 to the 5th power. This one has multiple grouping symbols. So the rule is we have to work from the inside out. So you can see that the parentheses are completely enclosed inside the brackets. So that's what we mean. Start with the innermost part and then work your way outwards to the larger grouping symbols. The first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to say 40 minus 8 minus 2 is 6. Now, you really don't need those parentheses around the 6. You can keep them or not at this point. It doesn't matter. 40 minus 6 is going to be the next thing that we do. We have to try to get one number inside the brackets. So that is 34. Okay, so we just sort of worked from the inside out there. Now, I only have one number inside the bracket, so we're done with that. Subtraction, and then I have 2 to the 5th. So the next thing we do is the exponents. Now 2 to the 5th is the number 2 multiplied to itself how many times? 5. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2, that's 16 times 2, that's 32. Okay, so 2 to the 5th is 32. So back to my problem, I would have the 34 minus 32. My answer, 2. Okay. Okay, let's try this a few more, and hopefully that will give you an idea of how this is going to go. A lot of these are not as complicated as the ones that we're doing together. I wanted to choose the ones I thought you might have more trouble with. Okay, so what we're going to do is jump to 86 next. 86. Let's do that. Clean sheet of paper. Okay, 86 is another fraction. 5 squared minus 2 cubed plus 1 to the 4th, all divided by 10 divided by 5 times 4 times 1 divided by 4. Wow, okay. On something like this, the first thing I do is go back and double check to be sure that I wrote everything down correctly. Okay. And then because this is a fraction, I'm probably just going to work across the page and just work on only the top and then work on only the bottom. So looking at only the numerator, I don't have any parentheses up here, but I do have exponents, so let's figure that out. 5 squared is 5 times 5 is 25. Minus 2 to the 3rd, that's 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8. Plus 1, you can raise 1, I mean that could be a 40 instead of a 4, and it won't matter. It's 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, which is just 1. So if you're raising 1, I mean that could, like I said, you could multiply 1 times itself 100 times, it's still 1. And now on top, we have subtraction and addition, so just go left to right. 25 minus 8 is 17 plus 1, and 17 plus 1 is 18. Now let's go back to the bottom. Looking at the bottom, no parentheses, no exponents, so multiplication and division, which we have a lot of here, left to right. Left to right. So the first thing we're going to do is this 10 divided by 5. So that's going to be 2, and then I'm just going to write the rest of it like it is. 2 times 4 times 1 divided by 4. And then I'm just going to keep working across left to right. 2 times 4 is 8 times 1 divided by 4. Okay, I'm just copying down the rest of it like it is. Next thing is left to right, so 8 times 1 is 8 divided by 4. And then lastly, we're ready to go with 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay, so that's not quite my answer. I need to go ahead and last step, I've got one number on top, one number on bottom. Let's divide those. 2 goes into 18 9 times. So the answer here is 9. Okay. Moving from that, let's look down at one of these with square roots in it. So let's jump down to number 94, because we haven't done one that has square roots in it. So 94 has square root of 100 divided by square root 4 plus 3 to the 3rd times 2 minus 20. We will see later on in other courses, you'll see expressions under the radical sign here that are a lot more complicated. They're not just one number. but everything you're going to do in this section is just going to have one number under the square root. Okay, so it's already simplified. Think of that radical sign as almost like parentheses, like a grouping symbol. You need to get this down to one number under here before moving forward. Then it kind of works like an exponent. So we don't have any other parentheses. Everything's down to one number under these radicals. So now we're ready to go ahead and take these square roots and resolve that exponent. So for square root of 100, what's the square root of 100? What number times itself gives you 100? That would be 10. Divided by what number times itself gives you 4? That would be 2. So square root of 4 is 2. Plus, you can go ahead and work this out. 3 to the third power is 3 times 3 times 3. That's 27 times 2 minus 20. Okay. Now let's divide that out because division is going to come next. Working left to right with division and multiplication. Division is first. So that would be 5 plus 27 times 2 minus 20. Okay, now we have multiplication over here, the 27 and the 2. So that's 5 plus 27 times 2 is 54 minus 20. And now we're down to addition and subtraction. So again, left to right. 5 plus 54 is 59 minus 20 is 39. So you should get 39 for that one. Okay. Oh, let's see. I meant to do 90 and then 98. We're going to do two more. We'll do 90 and 98, and then hopefully that's enough to get you going. But I meant to do 90 before 94, so sorry about that. Let's just jump back over here. 90 is a lot shorter, but it does have 0 in it, so that's why I wanted to look at that one. This is 90 is 7 times square root 36 minus 0 divided by square root 64. You know, at this point we're still trying to work without the calculators because you just need to be sure you're familiar with these, what we call perfect squares. You need to know that the square root of 36 is 6. You don't need to rely on your calculator to tell you that, because the more that you know that, the easier things are going to be for you working forward. Okay, so you need to know square root of 64 is 8. So be sure that you get some practice just with these basic perfect squares. Say, you know, you need to know 6 times 6, 7 times 7, up through 12 times 12. And the homework, I believe it goes up through maybe 15 times 15. You know, so be sure that you're familiar with these. Okay, let's do our square roots first. Okay, so 7 times square root 36 is 6. Or 6 times 6 is 36. Minus 0 divided by square root 64 is 8. Because 8 times 8 is 64. Okay, so that's how that's going to go. Now you can see that we have multiplication, subtraction, and division. So left to right. Okay, 7 times 6 is 42. Minus 0 divided by 8. Subtraction or division? Got to go with division. Okay, so now think about this. 0 divided by 8. That's either 0 or it's undefined. Which is it? 0's in the front of the division symbol. So if you wrote as a fraction, it would be in the numerator on the top. So I'm taking 0, nothing, and cutting it into 8 pieces. That's still nothing. Okay, it's not undefined, it's 0. So this is 42 minus 0 divided by 8 is still 0. So your answer then is 42. Okay, last one. Let's look at number 98. That one has a little bit of everything in it. We'll write this one out very carefully because it would be easy to misread some of these symbols. Okay, that's 29 minus, and then a bracket, 5 plus 3, bracket, 8 times 10 minus square root 64, close parenthesis, close bracket, minus 50. Goodness. Okay, so I'm going to double check that. 29 minus, and then this is 5 plus 3, 8 times 10 minus 64 minus 50. Now, I will tell you the number one mistake is people will tend to add this 5 and this 3 together. There's something visually about looking at the way this is set up that makes people want to do that. Don't. Okay, we have to follow the order. And the order says parentheses first, and we have to work from the inside out. So here we have the round ones, the square ones, and the squiggly ones. The ones that are most to the inside are these round ones right here. So we have to get that down to one number, and then we'll pick up the rest of everything and work outward. So we're just going to take several steps here and do this slowly and carefully. All I'm going to do is just recopy everything until I get to that set of parentheses. Okay, now in this set of parentheses, I'm going to go ahead and start simplifying. So that would be 10 minus the square root of 64 is 8. And that's all I'm going to do right now. Sometimes you can combine these steps, but I'm not going to do that in a problem this long right now. Okay, next thing, I need to get that what's in that round parentheses down to one number. So 10 minus 8 is 2. Minus 50. Okay, so I'll just put that, I'm just kind of putting this with the other color. You can see what we did. I did 10 minus 8, so that's 2. Now look across through here. What's next? The next thing I have to work on, my next set of grouping symbols, are the square brackets. So again, kind of working my way outward. So I need to get this, what's in here, down to one number. Okay, so 29 minus 5 plus 3. 8 times 2 is 16. Minus 50. Okay, did that. On the next set of grouping symbols, working outward, I've got this down to one number, and I'm going to just gradually work outward until I get what's in the squiggly brackets down to one number. Okay, so in here I have a 5 plus, okay, so that's a plus, this is multiplication, this is subtraction. So multiplication comes first. 29 minus 5 plus 3 times 16 is 48. Minus 50. Okay, so we did this right here, multiplied 3 times 16. Okay, now just add and subtract these, and you can do that in one step or two steps, either, whatever's easier for you, to get that down to one number. Okay, I'm just going to do it. 5 plus 48 is 53. And then 53 minus 50 is 3. So now we have what was in the braces here down to one number. We don't really need those anymore, but it's just going to be 29 minus 3. So your answer is 26. Okay. Well, work on that packet, and see what you can get done. If you have questions or trouble about it, try to get those to the instructors, so that way I will know to try to work that out for Thursday. And then on Thursday, we'll also start on the next section. And you'll have you don't have any additional worksheets at this point other than what this is, this packet, but you will have, starting on Thursday, we'll send some more things for you. Have a great week, and we will see you on Thursday.